Thank you for the opportunity to join you today, and I hope that you, your family, and friends are well. My name is Greg Pryor, and I have been at Workday for just over 7 years doing work across 3 areas. First, as a fellow practitioner like many of you, I served as a senior member of Workday's People and Purpose team, applying Workday technology to ensure that our workmates are having a remarkable Workday experience. Second, working with our amazing customers, most recently curating a community of our most senior customers to address today's most pressing people imperatives together. And third, I had the opportunity to work with thought leaders on the future of work and the workforce. Given my broad background, we thought I could provide context for what we see happening in the world and set the table for the amazing speakers we have today. Well before the extraordinary events of 2020, I believe we were about 10 years into the third age of human capital management. In general, from the 1930s to the 1970s, at least in the United States, was the age of personnel. That age had a particular tone, tenor, and technology. The technology may have been a filing cabinet, but a technology nonetheless. From the 1970s to about the year 2010, I believe was the age of HR. Again, a particular tone, tenor, and technology. In about 2010, I believe we entered the third age of human capital management, which I call people enablement. I believe that this third age is being driven by 3 fundamentals. The first is the increasing democratization of work. The second is data-driven technologies that increasingly apply machine learning to plan, predict, personalize, and prescribe recommendations. And the third is the changing workforce expectations. For this third area, I'm a fan of the work of Professor Tammy Erickson at the London Business School, who talks about the psychological narrative of generations in the workforce. Younger workforce generations, initially driven by their experience in the Great Recession and then amplified by the global pandemic, have a psychological narrative that was shaped by the criticality of continually building new skills that give them optionality for work and roles in an increasingly uncertain and dynamic world. I was in fact with the CHRO of a major North American retailer who shared a story that he was playing the game Fortnite with his daughter, and he asked, "Honey, when do I win?" And she replied, "Dad, you don't win, you just level up. You acquire new skills and capabilities required for resilience and later success." And I really believe that that story emphasized the mindset of our next generation of workers. This idea of collecting skills for success is consistent with the insights of my friend Bob Johansson, who leads the 10-year forecasts at the Institute for the Future in Palo Alto, California. In his book, The New Leadership Literacies, he proposes that the younger generations of the workforce have a gameful mindset where they appreciate the power of growing and progressing by building and maintaining relevant and more skills in a more rapidly changing world of work. Accelerated and amplified by the events of 2020, we see this shift to the third age of human capital producing 5 people imperatives, which we think about as the acronym IDEAS for a changing world. IDEAS stands for improving employee inclusion and belonging, digital acceleration, designing enabling experiences for employees, improving the agile organization, and addressing the skills imperative. As emerging technologies fuel this shift from the connected enterprise to a data-driven enterprise, we see 3 important considerations. First is leveraging an organization's unique data, their private and versus the public data. This would include talent and skill data, including skill trending, skill availability, skill interest, and adjacency data. Given the growing skills imperative, it's important to increasingly focus on developing versus just acquiring talent. And finally, improving the ability to move talent thoughtfully to work we believe will ultimately be the engine of organizational agility. Most organizations that I speak with believe this context to be true, but they don't exactly know how to do it or how to move in this direction. One way that we have found helpful is to embed these ideas into your business in a simple but we believe very powerful framework with application in 4 elements. At the foundation is a common and skills-enabled skill foundation or skills DNA. Much the way HTML enabled the democratization of information on the internet, I believe that a common HPML or human performance markup language will democratize work opportunities, unlocking and unleashing talent. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. The skills foundation can be applied to a portfolio of actions to sensing the skills you need, the skills you have, or the skills you have access to. As skills become the new career and contribution currency, it empowers talent planning, helping us all understand where do I buy, build, borrow, or perhaps bot the capabilities required to execute my business plans. This enables all of us to create business value by identifying skill criticality and contribution, reducing skill atrophy and attrition, and optimizing learning strategies, just to name a few. Applied to optimizing talent, skills DNA enhances our ability to buy, build, or borrow talent and is applied in hiring, learning, compensation, and talent mobility programs and practices. The business value here includes improving hiring effectiveness, employee performance, rewarding skills expertise equitably, and growing critical skill strength. And finally, the skill foundation is applied to accelerating agility, where we see the application of external talent marketplaces, agile organization, and work automation and augmentation. Business value here is generated in better scheduling and aligning resources, accelerating work automation and augmentation, and ultimately curating work and workforce assignments based on capabilities and connections. The skill foundation is a central part of this human performance markup language that I mentioned earlier, helping all of us forecast the skills required for business plans, be able to see skill trending, which skills are flowing in and out of our company in real time based on hiring, learning, and attrition. What skills are available and where? What's the value and impact of those skills on our business? How do those skills help people progress through their career? And when applied with employee experience data, what's the engagement and commitment of those skills? My experience is that while the technology is now available to enable these experiences, the constraining factor is actually organizations not having yet evolved their programs and practices to support this next way of work. To give you a very practical example of how we evolved our programs and practices at Workday, we reimagined the career continuum to address the talent and business imperatives that I mentioned earlier. We began our journey with career experiences to enable learning and move to a skills-first strategy. We applied the principles of agile software methodology to our career development practices in what we called agile career sprints, where employees developed the capabilities and connections as part of their work contribution. We applied Workday technology to digitally transform skill identification, skill planning and coaching, the identification of gigs and getting critical feedback. At a high-level overview, Workday Skills Foundation uses machine learning to capture and suggest the skills that our workmates have. Workday's Opportunity Marketplace dramatically enhances career development by leveraging skills data to recommend gigs and opportunities based on my current skills as well as my career interests, and provides powerful match analysis for these recommendations. Workday Learning uses skills and role data to share required learning, create learning paths, learn from internal experts, and identify your skill interests for future development. Not generally available yet, Workday's Career Hub can provide our workmates with the ability to look at their skill data, provide career coaching with networking and mentoring recommendations, learning and career experiences, gigs, and even new role suggestions. It helps you develop and execute your career plan. Beyond career experiences, this vision for a skill-based talent optimization includes the Skill Cloud Foundation, being increasingly embedded in recruiting and onboarding, supporting assessments and performance, improving reward and pay practices, empowering career mobility, and helping to deploy resources. And while this technology is very impressive, what I believe is most important is how we support our customers and their aspirations. For Coca-Cola, this helps Max Just, the Global Director of People Intelligence, find the hidden skills in people's past experiences that they can leverage together. Or for Patagonia, it helps Sharon Ellis, the Director of HR, and the recruiting team do searching in a moment and have greater sense of who's out there and who's right for the role at hand. I personally believe that we are at a once-in-a-generation, if not a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to enable and address this skills imperative and ultimately enable brighter work days for our employees and our organizations.